Sometimes everything feels peaceful, like a quiet stream. But out of nowhere, life throws us into a storm of problems, pressure, and uncertainty. That's what growth is all about, facing unexpected challenges that put us in situations we don't feel ready for. But even in tough moments, there's a way to stay grounded. You can train your mind to stay calm, no matter what's going on around you. And the answer is, yes, it's possible. Staying calm isn't a gift that only special or super intelligent people have. It's a skill anyone can develop with practice, and it all starts with learning to manage your own thoughts. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Stoicism teaches that inner peace doesn't come from trying to change the world, but from changing how we respond to it. Let's go over simple and effective ways to train your mind to stay steady, even when everything seems to be falling apart. Because, in the end, life isn't about running from challenges, but learning to face them and grow from them. Are you in control of your mind, or do you let it control you? Have you ever felt like your own thoughts were working against you? Negative ideas pop up out of nowhere. Bad emotions take over, and before you know it, you've reacted in a way you regret later. This is completely normal. Our minds have ups and downs and are easily influenced by fear, anxiety, anger, and frustration. But the real question is, do you control your thoughts, or do they control you? Imagine you're at a social event, enjoying yourself and chatting with friends. Suddenly, someone makes an unpleasant comment about you in front of everyone. Maybe it was accidental, or maybe it was intentional. But if your mind isn't prepared, what happens? You feel attacked, your heart races, your confidence shakes, and your first instinct is to snap back, argue, or walk away upset. Now stop and think. Does that reaction reflect who you really are, or is it just an automatic response from your mind? As a Stoic philosopher once said, we suffer not from events themselves, but from our interpretation of them. This means that our feelings aren't shaped by what happens, but by how we view the situation. If you take the comment as an insult, it will hurt. If you see it as just another opinion, it loses its power. Stoicism doesn't teach us to ignore emotions, but to stop letting them take control. Having self-control doesn't mean avoiding anger or sadness. It means choosing how to respond to them. When someone tries to provoke you, the best response is not to give them the reaction they expect. Instead of lashing out, you can observe, respond calmly, or even smile, and the situation loses its weight. This not only prevents unnecessary conflicts, but also makes others think twice about what they say. People who try to push your buttons want to see you irritated or frustrated, but when they find calmness and balance instead, it throws them off more than any aggressive response would. That is the real power of mastering your mind. Building this control doesn't happen overnight, but it's something you develop little by little, every day. When someone cuts you off in traffic, you can either get angry or remind yourself that you can't control others, only your own reaction. When you hear something hurtful, you can choose not to take it personally. Being in charge of your thoughts doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. On the contrary, it gives you more freedom to live without being dragged around by impulsive emotions. You start deciding how you feel, how you react, and most importantly, how you lead your own life. Because at the end of the day, if you don't take control of your mind, it will take control of you. Anger never solves anything. Anger is natural, but when we let it take over, we lose the ability to think clearly and make the best decisions. Many times, it feels like we're regaining control when we yell, argue, or take out our frustration on others. But in reality, anger rarely fixes anything. In fact, it usually makes things worse. Imagine you're driving down the road, minding your own business, when suddenly, another car cuts you off without signaling. Your heart starts pounding, and a wave of frustration washes over you. It feels unfair. You feel disrespected, and for a moment, all you want to do is react. But is it really worth it? If you don't hold back that emotion, you might end up speeding up to chase the other car, honking non-stop, or even shouting inside your own car, even though no one can hear you. But stop for a second and ask yourself, will this change anything? If you let anger take over, what could happen? You might cause an accident, get into a dangerous conflict, or worst of all, lose the peace of mind you could have chosen to keep. According to Stoicism, we can't control what others do, but we can fully control how we respond. Epictetus once said, "What matters is not what happens to you, but how you react to it." That's the key to handling anger. When someone does something that upsets you, instead of reacting on impulse, take a moment, take a deep breath, and ask yourself if it's worth giving up your peace over this. If the answer is no, then that anger doesn't deserve your energy. Anger isn't your enemy. It just shows you that something bothered you, that you felt hurt, wronged, or disrespected. But instead of using it as an excuse to explode, see it as a signal to better understand what's really going on. When someone hurts you, should your first reaction be to fight back or think about why it affected you so much? When faced with an unfair situation, is it smarter to yell and lose control or find a more strategic way to handle it? The world can be chaotic and people can act irrationally, but your real strength lies in how you deal with it. Someone might try to provoke you, but you are the one who decides whether to let it get to you or not. A lot of people think staying quiet or not reacting right away is a sign of weakness, but in reality, it's the opposite. Holding back anger takes a lot of discipline and self-control. Usually the ones who lose their temper quickly have less control over themselves. On the other hand, those who can stay calm in the middle of the chaos without being carried away by the storm are the truly strong ones. This leads us to an important idea. Staying calm isn't weakness, it's power. But why can silence be stronger than any response? The answer will make you think, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about now. Society often believes that the loudest people, the physically strongest, or those who openly challenge others are the most powerful. In an argument, the person who shouts the loudest seems to be in charge. But if you pay attention, you'll see that reality is different. Real strength is in the one who stays in control, not in the one who loses their cool. The person who remains calm under pressure is the one who truly has power. When someone yells at you, your natural reaction is to respond in the same way. You might feel disrespected and want to fight back immediately, but stop and think, will that really help? Most of the time, it only makes things worse, turning you into a prisoner of your own emotions. The other person's anger starts controlling your actions, making you lose clarity and trapping you in a never-ending conflict. The truly strong person knows that staying calm doesn't mean giving up, it means choosing the best strategy. Self-control means not letting others mess with your emotions or dictate your behavior. That's the greatest power anyone can have, mastering themselves. Imagine you're in an important meeting. A coworker, feeling frustrated or trying to assert themselves, aggressively dismisses your idea. Everyone looks at you, waiting for your response. You have two options: fire back in the same tone, turning the conversation into a battle, or stay composed, take a deep breath, and respond in a firm but controlled way. If you go with the first option, the meeting turns into chaos, and everyone gets caught up in the tension. But if you choose the second, you gain the respect of the room. Your calmness not only disarms the other person, but also gives you the space to communicate clearly and get your message across effectively. Mahatma Gandhi is a great example of the power of calmness and persistence. Facing British rule, he didn't use violence but peaceful resistance. He led millions of Indians in protests, marches, and acts of civil disobedience. One of the most powerful moments was the Salt March in 1930, where he walked 240 miles to protest an unfair tax. No weapons, no shouting, just walking. Yet this simple act shook the British Empire. The authorities responded with violence, but Gandhi and his followers stood firm. He proved that true power isn't in brute force, but in self-control and the courage to stay true to one's values. The truth is, those who lose their temper easily aren't as strong as they think. People who yell, threaten, or overreact are actually revealing their weakness, their lack of control over themselves. They can't handle their own emotions, so they try to overpower others with aggression. But if you don't react the way they expect, they lose their power. When you stay calm, you don't just weaken your opponent, you also send a powerful message. You are the one in control, not them. Staying calm in tough situations isn't just a skill, it's a sign of self-respect. It shows that you don't let emotions control you or allow others to decide how you feel. A truly strong person doesn't need to raise their voice to prove their strength. They don't need aggression to make a statement. They understand that the greatest power is in self-mastery. And when you learn to control yourself, no one can manipulate you. True strength comes from within, not from what happens around you. When you remain calm, you've already won, before the battle even begins. Life isn't always fair, but that's not what matters. Maybe you've been through this before. You worked hard, put in all your effort on a project, But someone who did way less than you got the promotion. Or maybe you always treated people with respect, but in the end, they let you down. Unfairness is part of life, and if we let it get to us, we'll stay stuck in a cycle of resentment and frustration. Stoicism teaches us an important lesson. You can't change the world, but you can change how you react to it. Instead of stressing over things you can't control, focus on the one thing you can, yourself. When you truly understand this, you won't see unfair situations as a burden but as a reality to accept, just like the rain or the sun. You can't change those things, but you can decide how to deal with them. Imagine waking up one day and realizing you have no arms or legs. What would you do? Give up or keep going? Nick Vujicic doesn't have to imagine this because it's his reality. He was born with a rare condition called tetra amelia, which means he has no arms or legs, something most people would see as a tragedy with no way out. His childhood was filled with struggles, insecurity, hopelessness, and loneliness. At one point, he even thought about ending his own life, but then he discovered a deep truth. If he couldn't change what happened to him, he could change how he faced life. From being unable to take care of himself, Nick learned to brush his teeth, write, swim, and even play soccer with his limited body. Not only did he manage to live independently, but he also became a motivational speaker, touching the lives of millions around the world. Nick doesn't have arms or legs, but he has a strength that many physically capable people lack, an unbreakable spirit. He is a clear example of Stoic philosophy. We can't control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. That's what Stoicism teaches. We can't change reality, but we can decide how to react to it. Imagine being caught in a storm. You can complain about the wind, the rain, and the dark clouds, or you can find shelter and use that time to think and grow. A person who constantly complains will always be a victim of their circumstances, but someone who understands Stoicism won't let external factors bring them down. So how can you apply this mindset to your life? Whenever you feel like you're being treated unfairly, ask yourself, will getting angry or complaining change the situation? If the answer is no, then you're just wasting energy and time on something that won't bring results. Instead, focus on what you can control, improving your skills, managing your emotions, and moving forward. The truth is, life won't always be fair, but that doesn't matter. What truly matters is how you respond to it. Will you let injustice break you, or will you use it as a chance to grow? If you enjoyed this and it brought a smile to your face, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. By liking and subscribing, you help spread this positive energy to others who might need this message. Now, think of a recent moment when you lost control. Maybe someone insulted you, or a bad day made you explode with anger. Did you really lose control, or did you make a choice? Losing control is a choice. Many times we believe our emotions are shaped by what happens around us, how people treat us, unexpected problems that arise. But if we take a closer look, we'll see that we don't lose control because of others. We lose control because we choose to. Imagine a simple situation. You're in a supermarket checkout line and someone cuts in front of you for no reason. Anger rises instantly. Your heart beats faster, your hands clench, and part of you wants to confront them right away. But then, you remember something important from Stoicism. You can't control what others do, but you can control how you react. You have two choices. Let anger take over, or stay calm and respond with respect. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "Remember, it's not being insulted or harmed that hurts you. It's your belief that you've been hurt." This quote reveals a powerful truth. No one can make you lose control unless you allow it. If someone insults you and you get angry, it means you've given them control over your emotions. If something unexpected makes you panic, it's because you let it take over your mind. Think of someone you admire, maybe a former teacher, a boss you respect, or a friend who always stays calm no matter what. Have you ever wondered why they don't lose their temper easily? It's not because they never feel anger or frustration. It's because they understand something crucial. Losing control is a choice, and they choose not to. An interesting story. One day on a crowded train during rush hour, a young man accidentally stepped on an elderly gentleman's foot. The young man immediately apologized, but the older man just nodded, kept reading his book, and didn't say anything. Another passenger who saw everything asked curiously, "Why aren't you upset? If it were me, I would have said something to him." The elderly man smiled and replied, "He didn't do it on purpose, and I don't want to waste my time being angry. My anger won't make the pain in my foot go away. It will only clutter my mind." What can we learn from this? Most people think they have to react when something bad happens, as if anger, frustration, or anxiety are unavoidable. But the truth is, emotions come from how we interpret situations. One person might see someone cutting in line as a sign of disrespect and get angry. Another might see it as a test of patience. Someone might take criticism as an insult, while another might see it as a chance to learn. How can we train our minds to stay in control? First, understand that you always have a choice. When a negative emotion rises, pause and ask yourself, will this reaction actually help? If the answer is no, then why waste energy on it? Remember, sometimes silence is stronger than any response. Staying calm can disarm others more than 1,000 words. Second, practice controlling your thoughts. When you notice yourself getting upset or anxious, remind yourself, I can't control others, but I can control myself. This doesn't mean you should just accept everything without question. It means learning to respond wisely instead of letting emotions take over. Finally, understand that real strength isn't about reacting with anger, but staying calm even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. When you master inner peace, nothing can shake you. This is one of the core ideas of Stoicism. You can't control the world, but you can control how you see it. Losing control or not, it's always your choice. Don't get stuck in the past or future. Have you ever regretted missing an opportunity or felt anxious about something that hasn't even happened yet? Many people are trapped between two things they have no control over: the past, which is already gone, and the future, which hasn't arrived yet. If you want to stay calm no matter what, you need to break free from this endless cycle. One of the biggest lessons in Stoicism is to fully live in the present, because that's the only moment we truly have. Marcus Aurelius, a great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once said, "Remember that a person lives only in the present, in this fleeting moment. Everything else has already passed or is yet to come." This isn't just a philosophical idea. It's a practical reminder. We often worry about what has already happened or what might happen, but when we do that, we stop living in the only moment where we can actually do something, the present. When your mind is stuck in the past, you can't change anything. When it's anxious about the future, you only create more stress. But when you focus on the present, you have the power to act, change, and control your emotions. How can you train your mind to do this? The key is to be more aware of what's happening right now, a practice Stoics have used for thousands of years. It doesn't mean you need to meditate for hours or ignore real-life problems. It just means paying attention to what's happening in the moment, your breathing, how your body feels, and what's around you. Whenever your mind drifts to the past or future, bring it back to the present. Novak Djokovic's example. A great example of this mindset comes from tennis champion Novak Djokovic. He once said that in the past, he used to dwell on past losses or worry about future matches. These thoughts kept him from staying focused and in control during critical moments. But everything changed when he started living fully in each point of the game. Instead of wasting energy on past mistakes or fearing what was next, he focused entirely on the present moment. Once he shifted his mindset, past defeats stopped haunting him. Every point, every shot became a new opportunity to show focus and determination. This mental strength not only helped him overcome tough challenges in matches, but also beat his toughest opponents. Djokovic's story proves that success isn't just about technical skills. It's also about mastering your mind and focusing on what's happening right now. And this applies not just to sports, but to every area of life. If you let the past or future take over your thoughts, you'll never truly live. But when you focus on the present, you'll find peace, strength, and the ability to make better decisions. What about you? Do you get stuck thinking about the past or worrying too much about the future? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Life is unpredictable, but calmness comes from within. Life is full of surprises. You can start the day with a plan, but in minutes, everything can change. A sudden message, an argument, or an unexpected problem. Chaos is part of reality, but one thing you can always control is your mind and how you react. Have you ever noticed that your ability to stay calm in the middle of chaos is your greatest strength? When things get tense and people around you start panicking, the one who stays collected is the real winner. You can't control what happens in the world, but you have total control over how you respond. When you understand this, you find true power. Silence isn't a sign of weakness or passivity. It's a sign of self-control. Imagine you're driving on a busy road, and suddenly, another car cuts in front of you, forcing you to brake. You could get angry, honk, and yell, but ask yourself, will that change anything? Will it help or just add more stress? Now, imagine the same situation, but this time, you take a deep breath and realize that getting mad won't fix anything. Instead of letting frustration take over, you choose to keep driving calmly, focusing on your own journey. In that moment, you're not just staying calm, you're avoiding impulsive reactions that could make things worse. Situations like this happen every day. Someone insults you, a project gets canceled at the last minute, or someone betrays your trust. But what really matters isn't what happens, it's how you respond. If you let your emotions explode, you're giving your power away to circumstances. But if you stay calm, you take back control of your life. When someone is angry, they want you to be angry too. When someone is anxious, they expect you to feel the same. But if you can stay calm, you won't get pulled into their emotions. Staying calm doesn't mean being indifferent or running away. It means having the ability to control yourself and not get dragged into the emotional chaos of others. You can train yourself to keep your composure in everyday life. Think about a family argument. Someone says something to provoke you, and your first instinct is to react immediately. Your heart races, your body tenses up, and your mind starts coming up with responses. But instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, you choose to pause. You realize that sometimes silence is the best answer. When you don't react the way others expect, they have to deal with their own words. The real victory isn't about having the last word, it's about maintaining control. There will be times when life tests you with unavoidable challenges. But remember, circumstances don't define who you are. How you respond to them does. Silence carries immense power. It's not a sign of weakness, but a deep expression of inner strength. When you learn to stay calm in any situation, you not only control your emotions but also take charge of your own future. So when life's challenges come your way, will you let them take over, or will you stand firm in the power of silence? The answer is within you. Don't let circumstances define who you are. Life is an ongoing stream of events. Some people are born into difficult families, grow up facing hardships, and encounter challenges that seem impossible to overcome. In these moments, a question always arises. Can we change our destiny? Stoicism answers this clearly. Circumstances don't define who you are. Only your response to them shapes your true identity. Imagine a boy born into poverty. From a young age, he hears people around him say, "This kid will never be anything." Society looks at him with pity, as if his future is already set in stone. At first, he believes these words. He thinks poverty is a life sentence and that dreaming of something better is pointless. But one day, he realizes something important. Circumstances are just the setting of his story, not his permanent identity. If he keeps accepting what others say, he will be the one holding himself back. So he decides to change. Slowly he learns, works hard, seeks opportunities, and moves forward with determination. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control everything that happens to us, but we do have the power to choose how we react. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters." This perfectly sums up the philosophy of staying calm in the face of difficulties. What you go through doesn't define who you are. What truly shapes your character is how you respond to these experiences. When you face challenges, you have two choices. Either let the situation control you, or define yourself by how you handle it. People who let situations control their lives feel powerless, blame luck, and believe they can't change their reality. But those who understand Stoic thinking choose a different path. They accept reality as it is, but they don't let it limit their mindset. Instead of complaining, they look for solutions. Real power doesn't come from controlling what's outside of us, but from mastering ourselves. Once you understand this, you'll realize you're stronger than any obstacle. Now think about it. Have you been letting situations define who you are? Or are you ready to take charge of your life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Returning to the story of the poor boy, what changed his life wasn't a miracle, but a new way of thinking. I am not what my circumstances say I am. I can be anything if I persist and put in the effort. He realized that the limits imposed by others only have power if he accepts them. With determination, he overcame all obstacles and achieved success in his own way. You might be going through a tough time. Maybe you grew up in difficult conditions or are facing challenges that seem overwhelming. But remember, what you're going through doesn't define who you are. Facing challenges with composure without letting situations shake your confidence, is the essence of a Stoic mindset. When someone tries to label you, or when the world tells you that you can't change, stay calm, face the truth, and remember, I am not limited by circumstances. I choose my own path. And when you remain steady in any situation, you understand that true strength lies in how you respond to the world. Nothing can break you. Staying calm isn't an automatic reaction. It's a skill that needs to be developed. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus taught that it's not external situations, but our own thoughts that determine our inner peace. When you learn to control your responses, you not only master your emotions, but also decide how the world affects you. Powerful silence, a composed attitude, and the ability to stay firm are signs of a disciplined mind. What about you? Have you applied Stoic calmness in your daily life? Are there moments when it's hard to control your emotions? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you don't know what to comment, just write, "I choose to control my reactions." If this video was helpful, don't forget to like, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next Stoicism content. There are many valuable lessons waiting for you in upcoming videos. See you next time.